All right. Good morning. Good morning, old school Texas Tech.
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Did you have a good week?
The biggest Texas Tech fan in South America.
That's probably true. Well, I don't know. I actually heard from, I've heard from I heard from a fan in Brazil. There's a guy here. I'll protect his name. That's actually a former kicker for Texas Tech, but I think I'm probably a bigger fan than he is. I've heard from Tech fans in Japan since I started the group on Facebook. I've heard from Tech fans all over Europe. I've run into Tech fans also here, like traveling in Ecuador. They'll see like a Texas Tech. I usually don't wear a hat, but I'll wear like a Texas Tech shirt. Um, and so I've heard from fans all over the world. We're a pretty lively and spread out fan base for sure.
Sounds like it. I knew we had fans all over the world, but yeah, you've been running into quite a few lately. Love it.
Yeah, they're everywhere. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. I think when I don't know about the new four, but when it went, before the Pac 12 arrivals, but I think after UT leaves, I think out of the 12, like the irate eight plus the new four, the first new four, I think we have the largest alumni base. We have the largest alumni base in that group. I don't know if you add when you add Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. It might be Utah. I don't know, but we're definitely up there in terms of alumni
Check
association.
that later. Check that later. I think Arizona and Arizona State especially, I think has a massive fan base and alumni. Well, not
Yeah,
maybe alumni, but
yeah, we're in the mix though for sure.
yeah.
All right, so obviously, I already talked about the game last week. I haven't been that mad at a Tech loss, and since the COVID year against UT, very disappointing start to the season. But anyway, we got another game to play. Tarleton State at home. What is your worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario. Okay, I think this Tarleton team is completely and utterly overmatched on all in literally all phases. If we I think about the worst case scenario would be like a 42-21 type game where maybe the defense gives up a couple big plays. But I think us winning by 3 touchdowns, which in my opinion would be a pretty bad effort overall. So I'll say that we win by 3 scores because I think we're just that much better than they are with that much more talent.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I wrote an article. It was actually kind of hard to find. It's a lot harder to find information on Tarleton State, but I did get a little bit. I posted that last night. Shameless plug. But anyway, I posted it on the group. Um, I think I'm actually not even going to give you a score. So what I'm going to say is the worst case scenario is it if at any point with after 10 minutes of game clock has gone off towards the end of the first quarter, if this is even remotely a close game or even like in question, there's like could we lose this game? Like that kind of thinking after 10 minutes of playing time. That's worst case scenario. That would go from a terrible start, 0-2 start to like what in the world's going on here with this program? Like that's the mind shift that would happen if this is a competitive game after 10 minutes of game time, in my opinion.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, best case scenario. This is gonna be interesting.
Best case scenario. Okay, so I think this is going to be a repeat of the Lamar game a couple of years ago when Kingsbury was still coach. I think then we beat them into the dirt like 70 something to nothing. I mean, it was literally from beginning to end, start to finish, just a complete annihilation. I think we were 0 and 2. No, we were 1 and 1, I think, some with a bad loss, but um I'm saying a repeat of that Lamar game. I don't recall what year that was. I think it's been a few years now. Maybe
I
four
think
or
it
five.
was 2018 maybe.
Okay, so
Or
I
yeah,
know it's been a few years, but I could see a 63 to nothing type score where we just absolutely beat them into the dirt.
Yeah, because Kingsbury was fired at the end of 2018, I believe. So, yeah, I
Okay.
do remember that game. I remember a lot of the players were like at the post game press conference, they were like, what did you think of the game or something? They're like, this is a game that should not have even been on the schedule, something like that. Yeah, I would say I don't know. They have a talented receiver who's put up like video game like numbers against they played no it was I think they played North Alabama and was it McNeese State? They played North Alabama and McNeese State. They put 52 on the board against both of those teams. I remember that Lamar team was really bad. So I think they'll score on us. So I'd say our best case scenario would be like 63-7. So I think they will score one, especially if we start to play younger players in the second half.
Cool. So they'll rack up some so they'll have some passing yardage, I'm sure, against us, especially when we're up big and we don't care as much. I'm sure that's gonna happen.
They're just young guys. I mean, we definitely would need. It would be great to get some of our younger defensive players, especially some playing time. What do you think's gonna happen?
I think we're gonna win big. I really do. I think we'll get back on track. And I think I've probably said some things off camera in the last couple weeks. Pretty disappointed with the way the season has started. I never thought that we would be. I thought we'd be 1-1 though, with a close loss to Oregon. But I think this is the week we can kind of get things going. I see, and I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I'm looking at the schedule and it looks manageable from here for the next several weeks. So I think we get back on track. Anything less than a dominant performance, though, like you said, and I'm going to be deeply concerned with what the rest of the season will look like.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be the only one. I think the entire coaching staff would be too, whether they would admit it publicly or not. I think we're going to win 59 to 59-17, I believe was my prediction. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe that's what it will be. I just think that we will play some younger players in the second half. They have two pretty good running backs. They have a good wide receiver. Their offense is better than their defense, from what I can, but it's kind of hard to tell when they've played McNeese State and Northern Alabama. No disrespect to those programs, but they just don't have the talent level, and it's not going to be. This team has not played in an environment like they're going to play at night in a sellout crowd at Jones. So I think the team's upset. And that
yeah,
might not be a good thing. Um, all right, so we have not won anything on the field this year, but we did win a. I usually don't pay attention to a lot of this stuff, but we did get a big recruiting win. I usually don't talk about recruits that much. I actually get really annoyed when they go on there and they're like, especially when they transfer and they're like, please respect. They're like, I'm transferring. Please respect my privacy and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, don't worry. I don't care if you don't want to be here. Move on. I mean, I'm not into all that. It's just not my thing. I care about the players who are on the team who want to remain on the team. Usually I don't care about the any individual recruit, especially now with the transfer portal and all that. But this one seems a little different, not only because since they've really been following the data and all of this, since the internet age and all that, this has been the highest ranked recruit we've ever gotten at Tech. I watched an interview that was really impressive with him. His was on the 365 the Waco podcast, where they call him Smokey, Craig Smoke, or one of those guys. Actually was friends with his high school coach and had him pulled out of class for the interview. And I was very impressed with him. I posted it in the group. Very impressed with him, talking about how I decided to make the announcement. He was thinking about making it if we had won the game, but when we lost and everyone was depressed, he wanted to make it to kind of encourage the fan base. So I thought that was really cool. So in general, what do you think the Micah Hudson recruit means to Tech, if anything.
I'm kind of with you in a sense on the recruiting stuff. I follow it. I look at the list of names and skim it over, but I'm like you. I kind of focus on the people that are on the team now. I didn't realize that. And I think you mentioned it. This is the first 5-star we've had committed, or it would be the highest ever. Did
I,
I
I
hear?
think I think since the internet age, yes. And I think maybe some of the recruits that we've had have been like we're maybe I think they're like what are they like they're like six major again, I'm not that into this stuff, but I think there's
Yeah,
six major recruiting like outlets to do like grading. I think it's the only time we've had a 5-star that's been a 5-star on all six. I'm not sure what Crabtree was. Graham Harrell, I'm not sure. I think maybe were they both 4 stars,
they were fours, I think. Yeah.
and Baron Morton, I think, was a 4, and maybe some of the recruiting rating agencies. I think some of them may have given him a 5. I don't know for sure because I usually don't care. Because I mean, you and I, we came of age as Tech fans in a decade where Mike Leach was winning a lot of games with 2 and 3 star recruits that were perfecting his offense.
Sure.
And then even towards the second half of that decade, Ruffin McNeil was basically overachieving with a lot of guys on defense. So, I mean, I've seen Tech win pretty big before without big time recruits. So it's just never really been a huge interest of mine.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I will also say this: he's committed, but he hasn't signed yet. Don't they have? They have a few more
Yeah.
months. And
Yeah.
anybody think it happen? It's like I almost want to wait till he gets to campus and we know he's going to stick before, right?
Right. And even if it signs, you can transfer the
Yeah,
next day.
yeah.
But I think it matters because I've read a lot about him. I've listened to a lot of people without the throughout the conference. He just seems kind of like he's built a little different. He talked. I mean, he's openly talked about how loyal he is as a person, and I've heard that from other people that he's really not like most recruits. I got a huge kick. He went to some sort of camp down in College Station, and he had a Texas Tech backpack on and Texas Tech gear on. And then he refused his. I think he's refused his last official visit to Austin. He had a trip to Austin planned. I think he's canceled like one or two of them. So it just seems like he's all in unless something pretty wild happened. And he's a great fit for. That's what they keep saying. He's a great fit for our offense.
Smart kid, man. Wearing a tech backpack in College Station and turning down that Austin trip. He's
Yeah.
super
That was a
smart.
riot. Of course, they didn't want none of it's a UT and A&M. They don't want any of those kind of pictures coming out.
Of
Yeah,
course.
there were some people who were taking pictures of it and posting it on social media. Again, I don't usually care, and I probably will continue to be that way. I mean, if old school Texas Tech ever gets big time into like recruiting, I'm probably not going to be the one who's doing the research on all that because I really get annoyed with the thank you Texas Tech for everything you've done, and then please respect my family's privacy when I transfer to someone else, and it's like some player that I've never even heard of, and I did those kind of things. I'm like. I usually like post things. I know I'm a jerk, but I just that kind of stuff drives me absolutely crazy. So I'm surprised I'm even talking about a recruit, but I do think this guy's different. I think he's built different. So he's going to be coming in with the new 16 team conference, the new era of the Big 12. So it's nice to have a big time player. And obviously we never know how that translates on the field because we won't use any specifics, but we've had some opponents who have recruited a lot of 5-star recruits, and they've walked off of Jones Stadium with losses many times over the last 25 years or so since I've been following him really closely. So he has to actually produce on the field, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so just nothing like my coaching hero Bill Parcells says this isn't the time for a State of the Union, but just kind of like where do you think we are right now? 0-2, got a big time recruiting victory, have a lesser opponent coming to town. You know, we respect them. We can't afford to disrespect anyone right now. So I think everybody on the team respects them. They're a good team for their level of competition. But where do you think we are given all of that?
I think we're going to keep getting better every week. I will tell you this. I was in a worse mood after the Wyoming loss than the Oregon loss. And I don't know how many people will agree with me in our fan base, but I think we're going to still be okay. I think we're going to continually see gradual improvement throughout the weeks. And I don't think it's as bad right now as it could be. If that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but I think we're going to right the ship these next few weeks. And as we get closer to the end of the season, I think we're going to see a team that's much better than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like the sky is falling completely.
Yeah.
I was upset about both games. I was more upset about the Oregon game because we had so many opportunities to win it. And again, it would have been a huge win for the program. But I was upset at both games, of course.
Yep.
So my thing is, I just think, so we're going to go into Big 12 play likely with one win, one win. If we don't have a win going into Big 12 play, we're going to be having different conversations next week. So in order to get to six, we'd have to have a winning record in conference play. We've only done that one time, and that was last year. We haven't done it before that in a long, long time, which is why a lot of coaches lost their jobs and things of that nature. In order to get to seven, that means we would have to have six conference wins. I think it's possible. I think that's kind of the high end of what my best case expectations would be six conference wins and go to 7-5. I think the 8 win thing is out of off the table after the first two games, but I hope to be surprised.
Sounds great, man. I agree. I think seven wins to me is where we're going to be at the end of the season.
Yeah,
But
7 wins, and if we could get another bowl victory, which of course that's a long way away, and we're 6 wins from really even being able to talk about that. But if we were able to go 6-6 or 7-5, preferably 7-5, and get a bowl win with a big time recruiting class, it'd be three bowl wins in a row, 3 years of bowl eligibility in a row, 2 years in a row of conference winning records. We'd be in pretty good position going forward.
agreed. I agree,
All
man.
right. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, and have a great weekend.
You too, my friend. We'll talk later.
All right. All the best.